I think I just need space. That's what Emma said, standing in our kitchen with her arms crossed, her eyes darting anywhere but at me. It was a strange thing to hear from the woman who used to press herself against me even in her sleep, who'd once said she could never imagine a life that didn't have my face in it every morning. Space. It sounded innocent enough, like a pause, not an ending. But deep down, something cold and sharp twisted in my chest. Because when someone you love says they need space, they don't mean they need air. They mean they need someone else to breathe it with. We'd been married for 7 years. Not perfect years, but good ones, or at least that's what I'd believed. The first few years were full of laughter and road trips, quiet nights making pasta, watching movies, sharing stupid inside jokes. Then somewhere between her late-night work meetings and my growing overtime hours, things began to shift. The silences got longer. Her laughter shorter. She started guarding her phone like it was a state secret. Texts came in with her screen turned away. She used to leave her phone on the counter without a care. Now it followed her everywhere, into the bathroom, to bed, even to the mailbox. When I asked what was going on, she'd smile, that tight, rehearsed kind of smile. Nothing, Liam. You're overthinking again. But it wasn't nothing. You can feel when something is unraveling, even if you can't see it yet. The night before she asked for space, we were sitting on the couch. I tried to put my arm around her like I used to. She flinched, not dramatically, just enough that my hand froze midair. Emma, I said quietly, are we okay? She looked at me like she was searching for a soft spot to land her lie. Of course we are, she said. Then she turned back to the TV, pretending to laugh at something that wasn't funny. But I saw her eyes. They weren't with me anymore. When she packed her bag 2 days later, she said she'd stay at her friend Mia's place for a while. Just to clear my head, she added. I wanted to argue, to beg her to stay, but pride, or maybe exhaustion, held me still. If that's what you need, I said. Take all the space you want. She hesitated at the door, like she expected me to fight harder. I didn't. She left. The sound of the door closing was softer than I expected. Almost polite. First, I believed her. I told myself this was just a rough patch, that maybe some time apart would remind her what we had. But as the days stretched into weeks, little things didn't add up. She stopped answering my calls after 9 p.m. Her texts became shorter, colder, delayed. Mia, when I finally called her, sounded confused. She's not staying with me, Liam. I thought she was home with you. That sentence cracked something inside me. I remember sitting on the floor of our empty living room, my hands shaking, staring at my phone. It's strange. When you know the truth is coming, you almost don't want to find it. Because once you do, there's no going back. Still, I opened her laptop, the one she'd left behind. She'd forgotten to log out of her email. I wish she hadn't. There it was. An email chain with a subject line that read, "Last night was perfect, red heart." Dozens of messages, photos, plans, a hotel receipt. The man's name was Alex, her coworker. The one she'd said was just helping her with a project. Reading those words, her words, felt like being skinned alive from the inside out. She wrote to him the way she used to write to me. How his voice made her feel safe. How she hadn't been this happy in years. How she needed to find the courage to finally tell Liam. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I didn't sleep either. I just sat there, staring at her favorite mug on the counter. The one that said, "Love you to the moon and back." It hit me how ironic that was, because she'd already traveled light years away from me. When she came back a few days later, pretending everything was normal, I played along. She walked in, smiled faintly, and said, "Hey, how've you been?" "Fine," I lied. She didn't notice the tremor in my voice. Or maybe she did and she just didn't care. She moved around the kitchen like she used to, making tea, humming a song. I watched her like a stranger might, trying to remember what it felt like to love her without suspicion. After dinner, I said, "Let's take a drive." She looked surprised. "Now?" "Yeah, just us. No phones, no distractions. Maybe we can talk." She hesitated but nodded. We drove out of the city, down a long winding road toward the lake where we'd had our first date. The sky was dusky, the air heavy with rain. She stared out the window, her phone in her lap. I could see the reflection of a message notification lighting up her screen. "Alex." Her fingers twitched toward it. then froze when she realized I'd seen. Who's Alex? I asked softly. The silence was deafening. She opened her mouth, closed it, then sighed. Liam. It's not what you think. I laughed bitterly. Then tell me what it is. Tears welled up, but they didn't move me. I didn't mean to hurt you, she whispered. I felt trapped. We stopped being us a long time ago. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. So you found someone else to make you feel alive? I'm sorry, she said, her voice cracking. I just needed space. Space? I cut her off. Right. You got that. We stopped by the lake. The same spot where I'd once told her I wanted to spend my life with her. The irony stung. Rain started to fall, slow, deliberate drops tapping the car roof. I turned to her. Tell me the truth, Emma. Were you ever planning to come back to me? She stared ahead. Her silence was my answer. Something inside me finally broke, but it wasn't anger, it was release. The kind that comes when you realize you've been holding on to a ghost. I reached into my jacket and handed her a small envelope. What's this? She asked. Your space, I said. Inside were divorce papers. Signed. Dated. She gasped softly, covering her mouth. Liam. No, don't, I said quietly. You wanted space. I'm giving it to you. All of it. I drove her back home in silence. The rain blurred the world outside, and in some strange way it made everything feel clean again. Like I was finally washing her out of my life. When we pulled into the driveway, she turned to me, tears streaking her cheeks. I never wanted it to end like this, she whispered. I met her eyes one last time. Neither did I. But love doesn't survive in half-truths. She stepped out, her figure dissolving into the rain. I waited until she closed the door behind her before driving off. No destination, no plan. Just the road and the quiet hum of a heart learning how to beat alone again. It's been 6 months since that night. I moved into a small apartment near the edge of town. It's quiet here, sometimes too quiet. But I'm learning to like the sound of my own company. I don't check her social media anymore. I don't wonder where she is or who she's with. The man she betrayed me for? From what I heard, it didn't last. Maybe she finally got all the space she wanted. And me? I'm finally breathing again. Because when someone shows you they'd rather drift away than hold on, you stop chasing. You let them go. You give them space forever. Sometimes the cruelest gift you can give someone is exactly what they asked for.